from downtown Detroit. It's the No Bullshit News Hour with my main man, Charlie LeDuff and Karen Dumas.
No bullshit!
It's just it, breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
Well, it took 10 minutes, just 10 minutes of Biden's sputterings and mutterings for the press, see I'm doing that with my fingers, to be exposed as a subsidiary of the Democratic National Corporation. Just seconds after dying Joe Biden's self-immolation, his own maidens of the media queued up to denounce him as feeble, calling for the golden slipper to be snatched from him at the Chicago convention. When just the day before, the weeks before, the years before, they conspired to connive us that Joe was somehow at the peak of his psychic physique. In short, the media fucking lied to us. They manipulated us. Now they realize it's over, except the rest of us knew this for quite a number of years. So now they're scrambling to cover their pedophagy. There's no reputation left for them. So what are they doing? They're scrambling for dirt, ditherings, pratfalls, and fumblings. They demand answers that have been in front of their noses all along. Even the special counsel, remember those documents, the secret classified documents Biden had? The special counsel told us all that the president has significant limitations on his memory, that he's a kindly, forgetful old man. It's the same for their dinner companions inside the Democratic National Committee, who've conducted their electoral business much the way they used to do inside the Soviet Politburo. The DNC all but suspended the primaries, remember? Allowing no alternative to stand in comparison to Joe Biden. They blocked Bobby Kennedy, for God's sake. They will not even extend Secret Service protection to the man. And if Bobby was allowed to run, Bobby would be your candidate. And if you look at the polls, head to head, Bobby beats Trump. But no, you see my problem with this party? No, I'm not saying fascist. I'm not saying that. You are the elite who stole shit and you're destroying the country, and all the rest of us are just in awe of you. And I know what they say back. But Trump, the Republicans. Yeah, I know. But you can again place some of the blame at the hooves of the Democrats for the rebirth of the orange orangutan, what with their bullshit trials and cheap fake clip quotes taken out of context. At least the GOP hosted a spirited primary season. The Democrats served up an unsavory choice of one. Brezhnev couldn't have done it better. And so now they're stuck. And I don't know where the Democrats go from here. And I don't even give a fuck. They've alienated their one-time constituents. Those against war, those who are asked to fight those wars, working people working two jobs, those who covet their freedom of speech and freedom of movement, those who bristle against political bossery, public corruption, and governmental overreach. Those against corporate welfare and public dollars funneled to the highest bidder. Those who put their country and their families first. Believe me, I'm one of them. I'll speak for her. She doesn't like me to. She's one of them. I'll speak for him. He's never been a Democrat, but he's one of them. They're spending billions on a couple of people here in Michigan, and you just ignore us. It was obvious to anybody who's been honestly watching these last few years. It isn't Biden setting policy. He's not capable. It's a stable of incompetent horse traders. Their messaging fertilized by an oodle of media poodles. So now the donkey and their dogs can be found wandering out in the pasture trying to auger a way back into American life. And what about Joe in the meantime? The human being, Joe. Does nobody love him? Why are they carting him around like the weekend of Bernie's corpse? Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, is Biden's national campaign co-chairperson. Does she say anything? No. But that's to be expected from someone with such a deep well of ambition. She's an expert on elder exploitation. She's still covering up the dead in the nursing homes because of her deadly decision to commingle the sick with the healthy. And the press didn't touch that one either. They will if she sticks her toe in the pond. The book's out today. She's going to Frisco and Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, but she's not going to, what is that one over there? The Barnes & Noble on 275? You know what I mean? The one in the strip mall parking lot here in Michigan? Oh, they're going to talk about it, I promise. Because 5 minutes under the harsh light and she'd melt. And then there's Hunter Biden, the wily one. He's at his dad's side? He's the doorman to the White House? The guy took money from China, Russia, Mexico, Romania, Ukraine, and sports cars from Tajiki Biznesmensky. He's at his dad's side advising him? And Biden's wife, Dr. Jill, who's not known for her brain power, but is known for her taste in $5,000 dresses and commuting on Air Force One from French state dinners to Hunter Biden's court dates on the public dime. It's too much to give up. Meanwhile, Joe's falling down the stairs and falling off his bike. He can't put a coherent speech together. He calls himself a black woman. Says he almost fell asleep during debate. I thought he was asleep. That frozen face. It reminded me of Fire Marshal Bill. Do we have that, Mark? Look at, show me. Yeah, look. It's elder abuse, I'm telling you. They're exploiting him for professional, personal, and political gain. Joe suffers. We suffer. Somebody needs to step in. So we will. I have some breaking news. We have just filed Joe LeBlanc, nursing home Joe, you know him if you watch this program, a senior living specialist and former vice president of the Michigan Assisted Living Association. What's up, Joe?
How you doing, buddy?
Joe, you and I have filed officially this petition for appointment of guardianship for Joe Biden. Joe is the affiant and the main petitioner. I am the co-petitioner. We are asking for guardianship of Joe Biden. It's official. It must be adjudicated in court, and it's on its way to the Superior Court of the District of Columbia Probate Division. Joe, you've been in this business 2 decades. I see physical decline. I'm saying he's being exploited, he's being endangered, he's being abused, and he's being neglected. From what you see of him, you agree with that? What are we seeing?
I do. I mean, first I want to say, not only am I concerned, that he's my president, but he could be any one of my residents too, any one of my seniors in my building. And this type of behavior, it would never fly. I wouldn't even have to report anything like this. Somebody in my staff, one of my families, one of the seniors would have reported this. You can see it a mile away.
The petition, subsection I, asks specific facts about the adult's recent condition or conduct that leads me to believe the adult needs a guardian are, and we attach more things to it, but in general, the vulnerable adult was recently seen appearing extremely confused and at times agitated, seemed to lack orientation, forgetfulness, wandering, slurred speech, frequent falls, flat affect, possible incontinence of bladder and bowel, lethargic, unsteady gait, frequent outbursts, dysphagia, asphagia, weight loss, seems easily redirected, likely dementia.
Delusional, hallucinations, paranoia, you can keep going. These are all symptoms of somebody that would have dementia.
So does that also question his competency? Aren't those all factors that would...
Absolutely. I don't think, if somebody came in like this, I don't know that I would even feel comfortable having him sign his own contract. I don't know how family members would feel comfortable with that.
Agreed.
So exploitation is the word that keeps standing out to me.
It happens all the time. I see it, there's great families out there, but there's some too. I mean, it always boils down to power and money. Why else are you going after any 80-year-old, 90-year-old? Like, politics is no different.
Yeah, they're trying. We were talking before the program. They're trotting him around. He's falling downstairs. It's a joke, but it's not funny.
Charlie, I mean,
he's falling downstairs. He's tripping over beanbags, right? One thing about Alzheimer's or dementia or cognitive decline, you start to see dark spots, right? All your visual's not there. You see when he points down to the ground. These are telltale signs that you need a testing. We can't get it testing. If this guy falls downstairs, what happens if he gets off the presidential helicopter, makes the left turn, and gets ground up in the tail blade? I mean, it's a possibility.
I get a citation if I wouldn't allow him in the general population. He'd be in a memory care. And I will get a citation from the state if I have a set of scissors sitting out on an open counter. This guy's getting off helicopters. Who's watching him?
I said, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, you said who was watching him. His son, his wife, the people who are benefiting from him not being able to make a sound decision.
Now, Hunter Biden's got a world of fucking hurt coming. He's got the tax case, right? He might have a FARA. I don't know what else they're going to do with the guy. If he doesn't control his father, he doesn't get his pardon, does he? His wife doesn't wear $5,000 dresses and get on the cover of Vogue. It just doesn't happen. But what about us? See, what this whole episode has showed me. And again, it's just a middle of the ground, middle of America person. The president's a figurehead. He really is, because this thing's on remote control. It's all special interests, Joint Chiefs, General Mills, General Foods, General Dynamics, the big three, big banks, big pharma, big tech, right? It's all, Joe controls the bedroom door, and what does everybody need? And that's where it is. And you see the world's a mess. And they all need to prop Joe up, and we've all seen it. It's not funny, and we can't get an answer about his cognition. We can't get an answer, and it's dangerous if we did. Because if he took the test, he needs to be removed. 25th Amendment, he needs to be removed. Now we're in another bad place, Mark. You know why?
Why?
Because now basically the generals, the cabinet members, remove a president. It's like a junta, right? It's like Chile.
Yeah, he's still the president of the United States. He has a lot of power. It's hard to remove somebody.
And
like
in
that.
this country, you remove the president. This is insane. This is like weaponizing the courts.
But we're headed into an election, Charlie. So we're also in a very awkward time frame. And you said, what about us? You indicated they don't want Bobby Kennedy as the candidate. People don't see, they may like Joe, they may like Donald Trump, they may not. So what about us? Where does that leave everybody?
I think I've been really vocal about it. We're in a bad way. I mean, you don't even have to look to the future. You can look to right now. What's not fucked up? I mean, I don't want to go off subject because we'll get to it, but 20 murdered in Chicago over the long 4th of July weekend and 80 shot. Terrible. And the mayor wants to blame Richard Nixon. Okay, fine. In Detroit, we had like a huge mass shooting, like these illegal block parties, and they hold a press conference with this crook of a mayor of ours, right? And they're saying there were 3 murders and 27 shootings over the long holiday weekend at these illegal block parties. That's not the total homicide count and shooting count. What about the rest of the city over those 4 days? And then let's just take the block parties. Chicago's 4 times bigger. We had 3 murdered. Times 4 is 12. Chicago had 20, we had 12. Chicago had 80 shootings. We had 27. Times 4 is 108. Chicago makes international headlines, and the media blows along like everything's good here when we know it's not good here. And our guy is intimately connected to Joe Biden. He too profits from it. Gretchen Whitmer profits from it. We got sent a lot of COVID dollars here. We can't even take this. Here's Joe. Joe and I thought about this for a while. You could say it's a stunt. Fine, it's a stunt. But I care about the country, and I care about the man, and Joe cares about the country, and he cares about the man, and he's an assisted care specialist. He's the guy that actually has nice homes, intimate, clean, communal homes, not big, nasty facilities. Figure out a new way to do things. We would actually put him up. We don't want his money.
No, I don't want 10%. I don't want anything.
No.
I just care for him. Like, you know, and that's the thing that bothers me is you see all these people over on this side that are making fun of him and teasing him and yelling at him and calling him names and, you know, he's stupid, he's lying. He doesn't know what if he had breakfast. Ask him that at a press conference.
Would you have
like, what are you doing to help this guy? You know, you've done nothing. Nobody's helped him. And then on the other side, you've got these people that are saying he's perfectly fine. You know, we're supporting him. We're ready to go. And, you know, we're going to collect his money for him, hold on to it. And like, what's wrong with you?
He's a fucking punching bag.
What?
And I, you know, like the Republicans, they're just getting so much zest out of it. And then what are the Democrats saying? It's Joe's decision. Our question is he capable of a decision?
But this isn't a stunt, Charlie, and let me make this clear. Joe sees things from his lens in terms of caring for our aged community. So things resonate with you differently maybe than the average person. Charlie, your lens is through highlighting things that people otherwise sweep under the rug or don't pay attention to. So this isn't a stunt. This is the attention that everybody should be paying, and for whatever reason is not.
Well, we're going to force the issue.
Well, and to Karen's point,
we're going to force the issue.
I see.
He needs a cognitive test. Sorry, go ahead.
No, to your point, you know, I typically see people that, you know, that you say with people with dementia, you lose them twice. You know, when they first go, and then you see them, and those families are devastated because they know, like, they're not going to remember grandkids, they're not going to remember, you know, your wife, and it's like they're spending that time because you don't have much left.
Right.
These guys are parading him all over the place, and like, you're never going to get those moments back. So when you're saying, you know, it's not political for me,
No,
it really isn't.
It's a position of compassion.
Well, let's make it political though, in the sense that, look, we just went through fucking COVID. What did COVID show us? The abysmal treatment of elders in assisted living facilities. The abysmal treatment of our elderly. And look, the number one guy, that's what the president is, the number one, this is how he's getting treated. Now, we couldn't even bring these filings to Michigan because our attorney general won't look into our governor and the handling of what went on in the nursing homes. The governor, who's the campaign co-chair for Biden, when Biden wants to talk to the campaign, who does he talk to? Big Gretch. That's who he's supposed to be. You don't notice this? Okay, let's remember. The treasurer of the Michigan Democratic Party is being investigated for and has been accused of financial exploitation of wards. She takes care of old people, and there's a sprawling investigation. Dana Nessel, the AG herself, a friend of the treasurer, intervened on that behalf. We never got a look at that. It's abuse, abuse, abuse. And the whole world's watching this shit. And so look, this is a legal, absolute document. So all of you know it. Okay, I guess you can go to Superior Court of the District of Columbia Probate Division and try to bottle it up. I've seen a lot of funny stuff going on for the past many years. You can do it, but we're coming with it. Right, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Update on the Samantha Woll's murder trial. It's now in the hands of the jury. I've been sitting in a court. This is an unbelievably, of all the, I covered Phil Spector, Michael Jackson, Robert Blake, OJ. Like, I did a lot of them. This is like one of the most bizarre cases I've ever seen. We'll bring you an update after these messages.
American Coney Island. So good, even Al Roker from the Today Show eats here. Not like that other guy, Al Joker, who eats at Lafayette. So make sure you're a roker and not a joker. American Coney Island.
Well, you know, when it rains, the power goes out. And when the power goes out, the internet goes out. When the internet goes out, I call my friend Matt and Bernie at XG Service Group. Look at Bernie here on his hands and knees, giving it everything he's got. Look at that man crack. So busy, he forgot to wear a belt. There's Matt right there getting the board together. That's 734-245-4100 if you need Matt and Bernie to come take care of your voice over internet, your security cameras, off-campus access control, Wi-Fi, and cameras for homes and business. They'll design it for you. You got restaurants, they do drive-through systems, railroad cameras for public safety, total wireless camera systems for your home and business. Yeah, that's right. Call XG Services at 734-245-4100. Okay, so is me come back? Okay, listen. The politicians lie to you. The media lies to you. How do you know if your investment statements are lying to you? Remember, you're not managing your wealth. That's some unseen guy working for a big bank, jockeying for some unknown algorithm. But he's not making decisions based on what's best for you. He's making decisions on what's best for his bonus, gambling with your hard-earned dollars. You should know your money, man. That's why I work with financial specialist Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. He'll tailor a financial plan specifically for you. From annuities to retirement accounts to college savings. He'll keep you up to date and always a phone call away. Let Luke Nowacki worry so you don't have to. Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748. Just in the SPC.
That's aphasia.
Don't leave messages and he's licensed and all that. That's what that means. Okay. Samantha Woll, prominent socialite in Detroit, a Jewish leader, president of the synagogue here in downtown that was defunct and closed for many, many, many years, was brutally murdered on October 21st, 2023, 2 weeks after Hamas brutally murdered more than 1,000 people in their homes in Israel. At first, everybody, New York, London, LA, they're all calling, oh my God, is this Hamas? Is this Hamas? Turns out it's not Hamas, and they kind of go away. Then they arrest her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, right, Mark? You walked me through this.
Yes, ex-boyfriend, yep.
His name is Jeffrey.
No one can ever pronounce his last name.
Hartzman,
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Jeffrey calls the police. He's on the west side of state in Kalamazoo. I might have killed her. I had the motive. I had the opportunity. They arrest him. They allow him, give him a snack, the police. Allow him to call his mommy. Mommy doesn't ask what he's arrested for. He gets a lawyer, and that's the last you hear of Jeffrey. Mm-hmm. It's the last statement he gives the police. They allow him to testify with immunity about his psychotic break. This guy's popping pills, taking mushrooms. He's on psychotic medications, blah, 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 blah. They allow him to testify with immunity. So nothing can be used against him. Meanwhile, Michael Jackson Bolanos, Jeffrey's a connected, well-to-do son of well-to-do people, works for the mayor, all of that stuff. Michael Jackson Bolanos is a scrub-ass, three-striker, stealing cars, one more, and you're a habitual. You're getting 25 years, you fuck around with another car. They found him out that night fucking around with cars. They do the Jussie Smollett on Michael Jackson Bolanos, and because the police, once the boyfriend Jeffrey's let go, we're not prosecuting him. Go back to the videotape and find some. They find a murky character, and they track him for 5 fucking hours. His phone, every video, every gas station, every parking lot camera. It was more than Jussie Smollett. It was unbelievable what they did here. They find him, take his coats, shoes, everything. They find 2 drops of blood on his sleeve. That's it. She's stabbed 8 times. beaten up, and he must be the guy, even though in 5 hours, in the half hour that he allegedly did it, 4:20 in the morning, there's no video. Now, I should say this. She went to a wedding, and there are 2 opportunities to have murdered her that night. She comes home at 12:30, and at 1:30, her motion sensors detect movement for a solid hour, right? From 1:30 or 12:30 to 1:30, 1 hour. Then the motion sensor goes into idle. It goes back, it triggers again at 4:20 a.m. and goes idle at 4:22. The man from the security company said it takes 2 minutes to go idle. So apparently this guy, Bolanos, and again, he had blood on him. He's in the area. The phone's got him there. It's a good suspect. I said on a previous show, good police work.
He's a criminal.
Yeah, he's a criminal. He's a 3-striker, dude, right? He's habitual. Okay. So I'm sitting in court. And I didn't know that I was sitting in court because I know all the principles in this thing. That at about 1:30, there's a figure running through. There's only one camera in this whole apartment complex, these condos and shit. And it's on a school 50 yards back.
I find that hard to believe, but okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I never heard it. Nobody was told it. The prosecution didn't give it in the prelim, nothing. There's a figure going from her townhouse across this parking lot, from the direction of her townhouse, running through the frame away from it. Bolanos is seen 3 hours later trying to get in the cars and walking towards the townhouse. Okay. Do the police follow this? Right at the time that the murder quite possibly occurred, there's a figure running through the parking lot, running away. Do they track this figure like they did Michael Jackson Bolanos? Did they track it? So this is closing arguments by his lawyer, Brian Brown. And this guy's fucking thorough. Okay, so Brian Brown is now going to give you his summation of what happened here. Let's roll that.
Now we got a person who's running from the scene. Why would this person be running from the scene around the time that there is no more motion inside of her apartment? Now this individual appears to be wearing glasses. Looks like he has somewhat of a distinct haircut. What's that in his hand? Could it be a knife? We know Sergeant Sullivan stated that they did a geofence. It's where they look at all the cell phones in this particular area. And they couldn't find a cell phone for this individual, which to suggest that this person didn't have a cell phone. Now, the prosecutor indicated that they had all the video from all this area. Where's the video of this person running to? Where does he run to? If you got all this video of the area, why don't you have this person where they ran to? Could this person be somebody who's testifying? I don't know. Could be. Could it be Hersman? I don't know. It looks very similar to me. It looks very similar to me. This person running from the scene looks very similar to Jeff Hersman.
Pause.
Haircut, glasses, even the...
So he showed a picture, the surveillance picture that night, of a white guy wearing dark glasses and a George Michael haircut wearing a black jacket. Next to it, he puts up a picture of Hersman wearing dark glasses with a George Michael haircut, wearing a dark jacket, and
Similar angle.
They're both
Yeah.
bearded.
Mhm.
Huh. Okay, go ahead.
coat he's wearing looks very similar. Very similar indeed.
Pause. I just love that. Me
He's
and my
good.
daughter are watching this. Like,
Yeah.
very similar indeed.
Yeah.
If I'm a juror, I'm sitting up. This is drama. Like, this case has everything.
It does. It looks like it should be on television. Actually, it's a made-for-television drama.
And like, nobody's covering it. And look, I hate to be a scumbag reporter, but this has race. This has love interest. This has international terrorism. This thing is huge,
Economics.
and it's covered like barely. Like
In power. I mean, she was a very well-connected person, too.
yeah, as is the boyfriend, and there are other boyfriends, and accusations of stalking at Jeffrey's. And I'm not saying Jeffrey did it. We'll get to that. We wrap up. He's got pictures. Jeffrey got pictures of Samantha all around his apartment after they broke up, all around his apartment. And she's got not one of him. They don't bother to even search his place for weeks and weeks after the murder. Weeks and weeks. They say, we looked at video to see if he was coming and going right around, from, about 12 to 7. I'm like, you didn't look at 9 to noon, 9 p.m. to noon? You didn't look at any cameras in the back of his condo? They didn't look for any cameras in the back.
He was also discarded because his cell phone didn't move. His cell phone was there, but,
His cell phone was at the house.
Yeah.
And so what the really good lawyer goes is like, so we dragged at it every phone, every location, and at this time there was no phone on this person. This is very reasonable doubt. Let's continue. Back to the pictures.
Now, why don't we have the video of where this person ran to? Why would this person just take off running from the scene at 124? Who was tasked with getting the video surveillance? Sullivan says Sergeant Ford. He said he knows Sergeant Ford was supposed to get the video surveillance from 1301 Orleans. He pointed the finger at Sergeant Ford.
Pause, please. 1301 Orleans is the Lafayette Towers. This Lafayette Center, it was gorgeous in its day. It was like one of the first urban renewal projects after the war. I mean, it's got, sort of like Frank Lloyd Wright townhouses. It's got giant apartment towers that are really cool looking in big green space.
Lots of green
So he
space.
runs by through the parking lot. Then there's the green space. Then you get to a sidewalk where this picture of this white guy would looking like George Michael with the glasses is found. And then the detective and the sergeant are on the stand contradicting each other about who was supposed to go to this tower, which has got to be 30 floors tall, right? And 15, 20 apartments wide. That's a lot. Like nobody canvassed that for any video. So when I said the police work was outstanding, it was, and now I'm realizing it was only half done. Continue.
Like he knows he did it. And Sergeant Sullivan said, I wasn't supposed to do it. I wasn't supposed to get the Dakota cut. Then when Sergeant Ford got on the stand, I asked him, did you get this video footage from 1301 Orleans, a.k.a. Lafayette Towers? And he said no. And I said, if Sergeant Sullivan testified that you were supposed to get the video from 1301 Orleans, would that be true? He said no, he must be confused. So I guess we just don't get that video footage. Even though we got hours upon hours of Mr. Jackson Bolanos walking around, taking candy from cars, filling with handles. We got all this footage, but we don't have no footage of somebody running from the scene at 124 around the same time that her ADT goes into item.
Wow.
What do you make of that?
Well, honestly, Charlie, I mean, and you talked about the great police work, and I get it. But with all the public attention and pressure, they're forced to try to find somebody. Jackson Bolanos became an easy target. The ex-boyfriend has all the perimeter of protection, the job, the money, the lawyer, the whole 9 yards. So let's make Jackson Bolano, he's the easy target. But the lawyer brings out some excellent points in terms of there being reasonable doubt. And Charlie, you did actually in the last show when you went through it in detail. It's like if you're going to look at it comprehensively and be thorough, you've got to look at all the options, and that was not done.
And why wasn't it done? Because you know. They were under pressure to get somebody indicted.
But you can, Charlie, you can buy justice. Justice is for sale. It's not blind. I mean, it's not. We like to think that it is, and we want to think that everything, but it's not. And so, as you indicated in the last show, this guy lawyered up. He's well connected.
He had they recovered a knife.
Yeah, they did.
From the boyfriend.
They had a good suspect. I mean, he's a good suspect.
Like who? Bolanos?
Bolanos is.
He's a great suspect.
Area.
But to me, there's two prime suspects, and there's a couple of ancillary suspects, and you guys didn't. There's a guy running from the scene.
But you didn't look at the other possible suspects as thoroughly and as extensively as you did the convenient suspect. And you mentioned that he was a criminal. This guy's a car thief. He's not a murderer. He's not.
It's a big leap. Yeah.
It's a big. So I wouldn't call him a criminal. I'd call him a petty thief. I mean, that's different. And so, I mean, you don't want to penalize him for his whatever.
He jacked cars and did time. He did felony time. He's a car thief.
But he didn't kill anybody.
There's nothing in his record shows he's a murderer or he breaks into homes. But he's a criminal.
But the prosecution should have gone back to the detectives and say, find me more about this. Clear this guy harder.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. It's good detective work, but then it falls to the prosecution office to say, no, this is going to be brought up. You need to clear this and go back to it. But I think the pressure of time of finding somebody and getting this adjudicated quickly was paramount.
But that's the whole thing that actually puts people in jail, and then they come back 20 years later and say, oh, we made a mistake. So time shouldn't be, being thorough should be the factor and not quickness. Everybody wants to be quick and nobody wants to be correct.
Well, they found this guy's jacket. His girlfriend washed it, right? It's a big deal. Like, she washed it, so there's not so much blood on it. He kept the jacket. If you murdered somebody, stands the reason you're not keeping the clothes, okay? He kept the clothes. On the flip side, Hirschman in his backyard has a fire pit. The police never took any fibers or any material out of it. I think I would have done that.
Yeah.
I think day 2, I might have got a warrant to look in his home. They found a knife in his possession. It was never sent for the auxiliary forensics looking for fibers like Jackson's stuff was. It's really odd, weird to me, right? It's reasonable doubt, and the prosecution was really fighting to keep this stuff out. And again, you gave him immunity. Here's our 2 suspects. Here's a car thief in the area with 2 drops of blood on him. Good suspect. Here's an ex-boyfriend who fucking called you up and says, I think I did it. I might have done it. And when he's interrogated, when he's done being interrogated, he's on the videotape taking his shoelaces out of his shoes.
He's not going into custody and he's doing that?
He's in custody.
Oh.
He's taking his shoelaces. Whoa. You weren't instructed to take your shoelaces.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's weird.
Given a snack. Okay, so here's another thing I rarely see is the accused taking the stand in defense of themselves. But Michael Jackson Bolanos did so. And in a nutshell, this is why he said he didn't call anybody.
And did you touch the person?
I did.
Okay. And what was your reason for touching her?
I didn't know whether she had fallen outside or was drunk. So me as a person, I'm out doing wrong, but I still wanted to make sure that you feel that this person was okay. When I realized she was dead, I wanted nothing to do with the entire situation. I'm a black guy out in the middle of the night breaking into cars, and I find myself standing in front of a dead white woman. That doesn't look good at all.
Nope, it doesn't look good at all.
No, and he's right. I mean, he is absolutely right. You can say all things aren't like that. Yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, all of his past and what he was doing that evening make him a prime suspect.
And again, he testified, look, if I sat there and I waited and I called you, you would have said, where do you live? Well, I live...
Why are you here?
I live 4 miles away. Well, what are you doing in the area? You got no business in the area. I was going for a walk. At 4 a.m? Right?
But you pointed out too, Charlie, if in fact you've murdered somebody and you actually took the walk that they followed him from the scene of the crime, okay, you speed walked, but
no, I ran it too.
And you ran, but I'm just saying you took that path. He's strolling through Greektown. He speaks to another security officer. If you've just murdered someone or even committed a serious crime that you know is like, oh my God, and he's freaking out, I don't know you'd be that calm.
You know what he said in his testimony? Well, why'd you go towards the light? He goes, I wanted to get towards the light. First of all, I was a dead person. I wanted to be around living people. And what if the murderer's out? I'm getting the fuck out of here. Now, here's where he contradicted himself. Tell me what you think of this. His lawyer asked him, when you touched her, could you tell it was a woman? Yeah, by her hair. And could you tell her race? No. Then he says, well, it was a white woman. So after the weekend, he comes back and he's asked about that. And he goes, I knew she was a white woman, but I couldn't tell her race. I didn't know if she was German or Swedish or Dutch. Hispanic.
I mean, there's white Hispanics.
Right. I didn't know her. So
Jewish.
What he's trying to do there, and I don't know if his lawyer helped him or what he's trying to do there was like conflate race and ethnicity. Yeah. So he's saying, look, your ethnicity is you're white or black or brown, right? Your race is German or... I said, okay, that's a stretch. Having said that, I'm a juror now. I'm just a guy watching too. Well, I know why he might have said that, because this almost happened a year ago and he's watching TV, he's reading the reports, you know what I'm saying?
Mandela effect, yeah.
What's the Mandela effect?
Where you perceive something different from how it was at the time when you remember it. So, oh yeah, that's she's a white woman. That's the one I saw.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, now I know it's a white
woman.
But, I mean, that's just... And he did say, I'm going to end up right where I was if I had called you. And I think he's correct about that. So to say it all, he's a really good suspect. I could have done it. I don't think he could do it in the speed in which that... You can't stab somebody 8 times, all up here in the neck and in the head, and one over the top of her, one over the top, right here. You can't do that in 5 seconds.
Yeah. And how do you get that with just 2 drops of blood on the underside of your arm?
Well, the jacket got washed.
Yeah, but you'd have an astronomical amount of blood with those type of... I mean, I don't see you getting enough. That doesn't resonate with me. And then you walk in that same jacket before it was washed. You didn't take his jacket off. He's walking. So somebody's not going to notice that he has a lot of blood on him.
Thank you. I never thought of that, Karen. Like, you walked 4 miles home covered in blood.
Well, by security guys, too.
Maybe he wasn't covered in blood.
Yeah.
But what did he do? Stop in the dark and look for dark blood? Look, all I could tell you is there's so much reasonable doubt that it's a push to, I don't want to say railroad, but without doing the other half of the police work.
I also want to say this. I think he's a better suspect than the boyfriend. He's there, right? Her DNA is on him. I mean, those 2 things are huge.
Yeah.
But they don't know if the DNA was on the boyfriend. I mean, they never tested anything. I mean, he said, I didn't do it. I changed my mind. I was coked out or whatever he was on. And they said, oh, okay, no problem.
I get that. But being a better suspect doesn't mean that you did it.
Well,
beyond a reasonable doubt.
See, this is interesting in a jury room because we'll do it. I'm like this. Yep, I get that. Now, having said it, you're asking me about reasonable doubt. I've got a phone that didn't move. I got a guy out there running from the crime scene at the place where the time frame is better to have committed such a violent murder. You never followed him. He called police without being prompted and copped to it. I'm sitting there to my fellow citizens. I don't like murderers. I don't like it at all. But I can't be 100% sure here.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. Is it without reasonable doubt? And it's not.
Absolutely not.
And that's it.
And you can't go back and follow the video now because this happened in October. It's now June.
July. Yeah,
almost July.
Yeah.
It is July.
It is July.
I mean,
it's July 10th.
Yeah. I guess my question on it too is, if this guy's a career criminal, a seasoned criminal, like, how do you not know to get blood off? You know what I mean?
Because he's not that kind of criminal.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, maybe he's just, I don't know. I guess, but and to wash a jacket, you still see the remnants of blood, and it's like, okay, in their mind it's gone. That's not very smart, but they think that that's enough to detach them from the accusation of that crime.
Yeah.
And let's go more simply. This guy also has an alibi, right? He expressed himself. Okay, that's reasonable. I could see that. No such work was done with the boyfriend. And again, I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying no such work was done with him. And you called up. And all this is in the public documents. So don't bring no case against me. I'm just saying. But I can't imagine. I can't imagine this guy being convicted. I can't. So it's another fuck up. And this case shouldn't have been brought because the prosecution knows that figure was running through the frame. You had partial pictures of him at a more opportune time frame to have committed such a nasty murder. And again, here's a cat burglar, quote unquote, who took nothing. The purse and stuff is near the front door where you went in. You didn't just go in and grab it.
Yeah,
you didn't just grab it and leave. I'm sorry. So this is, I just want to leave during my timeout, and it just was weird being all over the internet as a bad man to women and my wife. It was weird to be doing this work, but it helped me in some way. It really did. And during that timeout, I was just going through my email, like right about that one, this show. I'm just going to leave it at this. I'm just going to remind you of the work that we're doing at your behest. You want us to do it. The jail, the new jail. The old jail got demolished because it was full of corruption. We lost $400 million on it. They bulldozed it. The new jail built by Gilbert, one of Gilbert's, the guy negotiating the deal for the county, also worked for Gilbert at the time. So there's going to be a deal. Gilbert's going to build it for this much. We're going to give you all this property, all these tax breaks. And Gilbert pays the overage. It's $100 million over budget, and the people get to pay it. Yep. Told you. We also told you about the Hudson's building. It's a joke. You're not going to find tenants. And what did they do? They pulled GM a couple of blocks up. So GM now is buying office space for about 300 people. That's the footprint. GM's gone, and Gilbert now gets the Renaissance Center. That's nice. Flint.
Well, and he gets the tax money that those people paid by working down here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Flint, the 10-year anniversary went by. It's fucked. It's over. Told you that was going to happen. Another screw up from the AG's office. Just incompetent. And we're going to have Jordan Cheriton on. You know, the guy did a lot of stories in Flint.
Status Quo.
Yeah, he did the book. I read it in one sitting.
Wow.
And I wrote to him, I go, I don't know if you're that good of a writer or I know the material that well. It's probably both, but it's the book. It's a complete joke. And yes, in my opinion, Snyder absolutely fucking knew. There's no way he couldn't have. This guy's going through phone records. It was unbelievable. Okay. The dirt. We told you about the dirt. It's poisoned. Auto insurance. Right? Brian Woodward dies. The auto insurance is supposed to save us money. We told you it wasn't going to. And now Detroit pays the highest auto insurance in the country. Michigan also amongst the highest. It blew up. Unintended consequences that catastrophically injured people would die. It wasn't unintended consequences. We all knew it was going to happen. Another fail. And finally, we talked about Detroit and its crime, and it's at its lowest since 1966. Well, who's keeping track? Because the FBI changed the way that you report crime. The FBI is not monitoring if you're cheating it or not. We've got a mass shooting. Detroit, well, who did this? U.S. News and World Report, I believe. Of the top 150 cities, the worst city to live in, because San Juan, Puerto Rico is number 150, but that's not an American city. Because Puerto Rico is, not American. They're American citizens, but it's, it's a legal terminology what they are. Okay.
They have their own Olympic team.
Yes, they do. Okay, so Detroit's 149 Flint is 146. So Detroit's the worst. Flint's fourth, because they're talking about poverty, opportunity, health, education, crime. Lansing is 104th, so they're 45th. Wow. And Kalamazoo is the fastest shrinking city in the United States. Wow. Faster than San Francisco, faster than New York. So this is the record we have. I love it here. You know?
So Michigan is not
an
example.
Dope wandering around in her gargoyle glasses with a big Gretsch book, not telling the truth. If you can't look me in the eye, how are you going to stand toe-to-toe with Putin? This is an absolute joke. Right? We deserve better than this. We deserve better all across the board. We have a zip code in this state where 3% of the kids can read at grade level. In this state, 2/3 of the 4th and 8th graders can't read at proficiency. In this latest budget, we didn't increase per pupil spending for kids, not even to keep track with inflation. You know what we did? You know what they did? You know what Whitmer's budget was? The school districts don't have to pay into the teacher's pension fund. $700 million. Keep it. Okay. We owe it. We owe it. We owe it. You just robbed the pension fund? What the fuck? Anyway, that's your uplift. Uncle Joe, we got you, baby. Power to the people.